Hello, Michael here. I work for Micronova and we make the Ampla Pro. This video we're going to talk about how to pick a speaker. I tried to find really good speaker recommendations on the internet. I Google searched, I searched Reddit, and there's a tyranny of choice out there and nobody can just recommend like, hey, this is the perfect speaker or that is the perfect speaker. The expense for the speaker and quality can vary greatly depending on your budget and your needs. So in this video, we're going to talk about 6 things. We're going to talk about the specs for the amplifier, the impedance or resistance of the speakers. We're going to talk about the power handling or wattage of the speakers. We're going to talk about the different types of speakers. We're going to talk about the room quality and acoustics, active versus passive speakers, and speaker wire. Is that 6? I wasn't counting. First, it's the amplifier. What amplifier are you getting? And that should help you figure out what sort of speakers you want to get. All right, so we have an amplifier, the Ampla Pro. How is that going to determine what speakers you buy? Well, first, this, on the back of it, can power up to 6 different zones. So each zone is 2 channels, a left and a right channel, so that's going to be 12 total speakers. You don't have to fill this all the way up. If you only have 5 zones in your house, you only need to do 5 zones. Additionally, there are the pre-outputs. Those can run in parallel with zone 1 and you can put a subwoofer attached to it. You're not limited by 6 zones. We have over here the expander unit. On the back, you put your main unit and your expander unit together and it daisy chains and you have another 6 additional zones. You can have a total of 5 more expanders for a total of 36 zones or 72 speakers. If you're powering a small office building with speakers, you can really stack these units up. That kind of determines how many speakers you want. The other specs are going to be power output and impedance. Let's look into that. So impedance, that's also resistance. Speakers are rated by the resistance. Most speakers you're going to find out there are 8 ohms. The Ampla Pro is also capable of powering 4 ohm speakers as well. Higher resistance means this is going to not be able to drive as much power. So it's not going to be as loud if it's an 8 ohm speaker. That's not necessarily a bad thing. And the amplifier will run a little bit warmer to power these speakers with the lower impedance. Think of it like a shower head. More water will come through with lower impedance, but you'll need larger pipes on the back end to handle that larger volume of water. So most speakers out there are going to be 8 ohm, 6 ohm. I had a hard time finding 4 ohm speakers. With the Ampla Pro, you can have 4 to 8 ohm speakers. They're newer within that. The next thing to consider for speakers is power output. Speakers can only handle so much power before they start to distort or be damaged, so they start to sound blown out. And that power output is measured in wattage. Typically it's RMS wattage. Basically what that means is throughout the use of that speaker, how much can it consistently handle over time. You always want to check that with your rating. With the Ampla Pro, if it's a 4 ohm speaker, that's 55 watts. 8 ohm speaker, that's 32 watts. If you look at this speaker here, that's 400 watts, which is crazy. But this 400 watts, it's peak power output. The RMS rating for this is 100 watts. There's sort of a bigger number better. This handles 400 watts, but that's only its peak usage. The consistent usage is 100. So be on the lookout for that when you buy speakers as well. All right, so there are many different types of speakers. There's in-wall speakers, ceiling speakers, bookshelf, floor stand, dual voice, outdoor, subwoofers, and pendant speakers. Dual voice, I'll circle back to. They're a single speaker that have 2 cores in it, so you can put the left and right channel in it. Something like a small bathroom or something like that would work for a dual voice speaker. But yeah, there's a variety of shapes of speakers that can uniquely shape themselves to a room, specifically in your home or office. The next thing to consider is active versus passive speakers. Active speakers, sometimes called power speakers. These here, for example, they have this audio input that'll come here, but it's a relatively weak audio signal or weak voltage that's coming through there. So we plug this into the wall, and these speakers actually have amplifiers inside of them that will amplify that signal to boost the audio volume, essentially. These speakers, the only thing driving these speakers, the power for these speakers, comes from the amplifier itself. So you plug these in here, and these drive the passive speakers. There's no plug or electricity that goes into it at all, besides from that. So typically for a device like this, you want passive speakers throughout your house, but like a subwoofer or something is going to be an example of a powered speaker that you would use wherever you see it fitting. Small bedrooms or bathrooms probably don't need a large speaker, as opposed to a larger living room or entertaining space. You may want to get larger speakers and subwoofers involved, but also soft furnishings like area rugs, drapes, or even acoustic panels to add to the lushness of the acoustic environment can be pretty helpful. Another thing to consider is the room size and the acoustics of the room. So if there's a lot of hard surfaces or not, this can add to your audio experience that you're trying to create. Another thing to consider is speaker wire. The purity of the copper is also important. Okay, I looked it up. When installing your speakers, especially for in-wall setups, use CL2 or CL3 rated speaker wire. It's a fire safety rating and is often required for electrical codes for in-wall installations. Another thing you want to avoid is running speaker wire parallel alongside another power line, an AC power line. It'll introduce interference. You'll be able to hear it. So if you do have to cross a power line, you want to cross it perpendicular as opposed to going parallel. And the other thing with speaker wire is the gauge. 16 gauge is smaller than 14, and 14 is smaller than 12. But 16 gauge is usually pretty good if you're running wire under 50 feet. Anything more than that, you might want to consider going up to a larger gauge. The longer the wire, the more resistance it has, and similar to the impedance of the speaker, the more resistance it has, the lower volume you're going to end up with. So to close, there's no one-size-fits-all speaker recommendation. Again, if you're the audiophile and you want the highest quality speaker, you're going to be spending hundreds and hundreds, maybe thousands of dollars in speakers. If you want a speaker that gets the job done for your little bedroom or a space, maybe only a few $100s, depending on what you need for where you need it. I can't just recommend one speaker for you. You have to do a little bit of work and figure out what speakers you want. Also, another thing, if you go on Reddit, like certain people will love certain brands and other people will hate certain brands for varying reasons. Some speakers will sound tinny or high, and I just couldn't come to a consensus of like, this is a good speaker. So this was initially going to be a speaker recommendation video, but it's instead kind of a speaker buying guide, I hope. Thank you guys.